Happy Saturday. So, I'm here with Charles Eisenstein. I really liked his book, The Ascent of Humanity. And so now we're going to talk semi-spontaneously because that's the way life happens. We just did a seminar on kind of discussing the older paradigm, which is kind of dissolving, and this new paradigm which we're sort of creating and stepping into. So we did some really cool exercises which we filmed a little bit of, which I'll upload. But I just wanted to thank you so much for writing this fantastic book, or channeling it, or whatever, just bringing it into being, because it's such a tremendous piece of work. And I've been recommending it to everyone in the YouTube community because it's inspired me so much. And for so long I was reading all these Derek Jensen books, feeling really depressed. And then my friend Charlie, who went to Penn State, had a class with you, and so he had this book sitting on his shelf, and he was like, yeah, it's a pretty cool book. So I decided to read it, and I was like, holy cannoli. So do you want to maybe just describe what it's about a little bit, or how you came to writing it?
Well, it does kind of naturally follow from Derek Jensen books. Like one of the things we talked about today is how the old world has to fall apart before anyone's ready to step into a new world. Like in personal life, it's like that. I mean, usually I hold on as tightly as I can to this disappearing old world as it unravels, and finally, when I'm in this, when I can't go back to the old world anymore, then maybe I'm ready for something new. And you know, Derek Jensen does a really good job in kind of demolishing the world that you know, before you read his stuff. I mean, there's other people who do the same thing, but before you read his stuff, it's like, yeah, maybe things are okay, you know, maybe, I mean, yeah, we made some mistakes, there's some injustices.
He's like, no.
No, he's basically lays it out that the whole fabric of civilization is rotten to the core. And in doing that, I mean, I think that there's a lot of beautiful things that he kind of ignores, but still, like, you know, it's a valid message. The stuff he's saying is true, you know. So that, I think, it kind of sets up, it kind of naturally follows. This book naturally follows from that. And for me, in the process of writing it, it was like that too, you know, because when I wrote this book, it was in response to Derek Jensen and Daniel Quinn and John Zerzan and like all of these other, and just all this information about what is happening to the planet. So I started in really deep despair. And I just had to know, like, why is this happening? Why? Like, what's the reason underneath the reason underneath the reason?
Getting to the very root of it.
And when I discovered that root, that was when I realized that the root is so deep that you can't even say that it was a mistake or a wrong turn, but it's part of a larger process, like a developmental process of separation and reunion. So, you know, cycling back, enriched by the journey of separation.
So it's kind of like a spiral instead of just a regular cycle. Because you know, if we do return to, like, I don't think we're going to return to, you know, hunter-gatherer society and a population of 2 million people on Earth, but I think that we will return to a lot of the mindsets of hunter-gatherers, the way of being, and the connectedness. And that return will have been, we won't be the same as we were, you know, because we'll have covered all of this territory and integrated it and become more,
You know.
You said in the seminar something that I'm really a fan of coming up with metaphors and concepts to like just conceptualize these things, and you mentioned how perhaps Gaia, this organism, has grown a new organ, and that organ is humanity. And do you want to just expand on that a little bit?
Yeah. Or you could look at us as like in a human being, there's, I don't know if there's organs, but there's at least DNA that hasn't been expressed yet, and we don't even know what it's for. And I think humanity's kind of like that on Earth. We, like, Gaia grew this new organ, and it hasn't really started to operate in its intended use yet. But it's there for a reason. It's not just a cancerous tumor, you know, that Earth is going to expel now with all these disasters that are happening, you know, and slough us off like a tumor. We're an organ. Sometimes I also think that we're more like a fetus. You know, I mean, that's something else that grows inside a mother, you know, Mother Earth, and draws more and more resources, and then in a crisis is born, and that's unsustainable. Like a fetus can't grow forever.
But our economy can grow forever, right? So
well, that's what we thought, but it can't, obviously. And we're reaching the limits of growth right now, as every, you know, environmentalist will tell us. And so, but without the birth metaphor, you know, they're basically using a cancer metaphor, and they're saying, yeah, and we can't grow anymore, so we're going to die. You know, and Earth is going to destroy us for our hubris. But maybe what's happening is that we're simply growing up against the limits of our environment, just like a fetus does, and that growth actually is what triggers the birth process too. So now we're triggering the birth process, which looks pretty scary from the perspective of the fetus, because the whole universe is pressing down on you. You can't stay where you were, and at the beginning you don't even know where you're going either, because the cervix hasn't opened. But now I think we're just starting. I mean, I think it actually started in the 60s, but now we're starting to know where we're going to. And there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And birth is happening in earnest now.
Yeah, I remember you said how in one of your talks how like the process is kind of telescoping in exponentially. So the change that used to happen in 100,000 years then happened in 10,000 years, then 1,000 years, then 300 years, then 100 years, and then I feel like a really momentous change in that process, like a big expansion of consciousness, was when we got the pictures from outer space of Earth as one organism. We weren't these separate countries. And as you said, in the 60s that happened.
Yeah, that had a big impact on consciousness. That was part of how we fell in love with Earth.
Exactly.
And became, you know, it became no longer just Mother Earth who we wanted to take from, but also a being that we wanted to give back to and eventually to co-create with, you know, like a partner. And that's just starting to happen. But you know, even like the most rapacious corporate CEO, at least like he has to justify to himself. You know, it's not just like, yeah, take, and glorify the maximization of resource extraction. Like, but that's how it was 100 years ago. 100 years ago, they didn't need to justify themselves at all. You know, it's like, let's find the most efficient way to clear cut more forests. Like, everybody thought that was good. But now, like, you know, even the people who are still clear cutting the forests, they have to at least have a story why it's okay. And that's new, you know? And most of us don't want that to happen anymore.
Absolutely. So yeah, I highly recommend this book. It's really fantastic, and Charles is awesome enough to offer it for free online in text and audio. And then if he's offering it as a gift, and then if you feel compelled, you can make a contribution, because he's doing such amazing work. You're doing such amazing work. We're having like a three-way, semi-spontaneous.
There's that little red box over there.
Yeah. Happy Saturday. And I understand you have a new book coming out. Is that?
Yeah, in July, Sacred Economics.
Yes.
It's called.
Do you want to give a little blurb about that? Or
It's about how to make money as sacred as everything else in the universe.
I see.
You know, and why money always seems to be the enemy of our best impulses, and what changes have to happen and are actually happening already, so that that's no longer the case. You know, so that our best instincts and our generosity don't have to fight against the money power.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people have this potential energy that they want to give, and there's all these places that need that potential energy, but our economics is not connecting them.
Yeah.
And it's, so you're going to give some examples of how we can connect those, perhaps? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, there's different levels of it. There's, I mean, some of it's just like really kind of, you know, money system, like how a money system could work. Others is more of the personal level, you know, living in gift mentality.
I see.
But a lot of it is more heady kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
Yeah.
thank
All
you
right.
so much. And you inspired me to help facilitate gift circles in Pittsburgh. So
Awesome.
we're officially having gift circles in
Wonderful.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the magic